Any of you ever feel stressed?
Yeah.
Right. If you are saying no, you're lying. In modern life, no one feels no stress. So this whole thing is about stress. Well, stress causes it, but it's trying to reduce stress, but to a point where it's twisted, and that's where the ethics comes in. So this is a paper. You want to know more stuff I just said today? You can read the paper. I haven't done it yet, but you can read it after this weekend. That's the time I'm gonna do it. So this paper is broke down to 3 big sections, and each big section has its small section. This first one is just a intro. It's going to talk about, that's a small font, but the first one here it says, are you stressed? So it's going to explain what stress is and go through the history of stress. I'm going to dive deeper later after I go through the quick intro of this presentation. And the second step is we talk about what is mindfulness. It's supposed to help us with stress. I don't know if you've not heard about mindfulness, this term. Okay, so nobody not heard, so everybody heard it. Because it's old, it's got about 2,500 years history. It's from India initially, and then Buddhism adapted and then took it all over the world. And in the 1970s, a MIT engineer, out of all the people, actually brought this whole thing to the Western world. And he made a huge amount of money, and even today he's actively pushing mindfulness to a worldwide level. That creates its own problem. I'll talk about that later. The next one, I don't know if I see that, but pardon my French, what is McMindfulness? It's a word, play on word for McDonald's, because burgers are good, but McDonald's make them Mac burgers. Same case here. Mindfulness might be good, might be not. We'll talk about it later. But mass produce it, put a Mac on it, and it's not going to be as good. So if it's good to begin with, it's going to be not so good, and if it's bad to begin with, it's going to be even worse. And then I present 3 questions or 3 arguments against the McMindfulness, or it's just pointing out what's the problem of our current market in mindfulness practice. Because I don't know if I mentioned this before, this is a $4 billion per year industry, just promoting mindfulness through app, through training, through music, YouTube videos. This all combined, including yoga. That's part of this whole thing. So if you haven't heard about mindfulness, I'm sure heard about yoga, and that's part of the practice. And my 3 questions. The first one is on a personal level. Is mindfulness really doing you good? Or by practicing mindfulness, because it has a deep-rooted Buddhism root, and most people assume if I'm doing this, I'm doing good. But is it really? That's my first question. The second question is, there's a lot of companies actually selling mindfulness or even giving mindfulness to their employees, or even the Marines are doing yogas nowadays, meditating. So what's that about? And the third one is, like I said, the guy from MIT actually joined, so he has a weird hyphenated name. John, let's call him John. I'm sure that's his first name. And I have his full name in my little reference essay if you want to read. For now, he's John. So John thinks if everybody in the world meditates or practice mindfulness, this world is going to become a better place. And is that a faulty statement? Don't laugh at that, because nowadays, after all, it's a $4 billion industry. They are powerful. People following mindfulness practice think they are doing good, and I will show you why it's not. But if this many people think they are doing good, and in reality they are not, you have a bunch of zombies on your hand, and they just still hurting the world and just don't care. At that point, it might make the matter worse. So let's dive in a little. Oh well, the last one is my attempt of solving this whole problem, but it's come on, it's a $4 billion industry. What myself can do about it? I can write an essay about it. There are, I don't know, maybe 5 books about this, but it is what it is. It's just my estimation of what's a rational conclusion on this thing. And the last part is conclusion, but not much around there. You are not supposed to put new ideas in conclusion, so this part is just there for formality. So what is stress, right? Stress is as old a word as, I don't know, 1800. That's how old that word is. People, well, not back then they don't call it stress. They call it nervousness. Right? They have nerves. That's where that word's from. And after a couple of decades, they come up with a new word called neurasthenia.
I saw that in your paper.
Right. So yeah.
And then anxiety and all the other words. Okay.
So N-E, how do you spell that? N-E, U-R-S-A, A-S-T-H-I-A. That's how to spell that. Neurasthenia. It's the same thing. And there was a fashionable, it's like stress today. Like, how are you doing today? I have stress recently. People like say that to show they are busy, to show they are a productive member of the society. Back then, neurasthenia is the buzzword. Who was the president? Theodore Roosevelt? Yeah, he has that. And back then, the way they treat that is pretty comical. For guys who have that, you need to go work out. You need to go on a farm. You need to go on a retreat. You need to do manly stuff. That's where the dude wrench term comes in. It was a concept before that, but neurasthenia treatment actually make the dude wrench a phenomenon. And if you are a woman, you are in bad luck if you get that disease. The treatment back then is to confine you in your bed. Sounds good, right? But you cannot have any form of entertainment. No laying in bed watching your phone. Back then there was no phone. But you can't even read a book. And you are not allowed to talk to anybody, including your spouse or even your children. The food will be brought to you, but nobody will talk to you. And that's how they treat neurasthenia back then. Yeah, this is as recent as 1869, so a little more than 100 years ago. So finally, in early 1990s, what's this guy's name? Hans Stell, S-E, this guy. Google him. He's an interesting guy. Yeah. So that guy is actually the guy who put together the term stress. The way he discovered, he's a Canadian guy, so it's cold there, and the way he discovered stress is he actually exposed his little lab rats in the cold of the Canadian winter, and then dissect them and find their internal organs is in worse shape than the normal lab rats. And he spent all his life trying to explain, or trying to convince people that what's happening to his rats is happening to human beings. His work didn't catch on until the big tobacco company discovered his stuff. And back then people believed, well, even today people believe smoking cigarettes relax you, make you less stressed, reduce stress. And he coined term stress. So his argument is, because you smoke, you reduce your stress, and therefore smoking is good for you. And back then there was a lot of scientists in the pockets of the big tobacco company, and that's how this stress term sticks today, even though we know tobacco is bad for you. But it's just a funny thing that he discovered stress, and stress is a real thing, but the way, the money he spent on this, people who actually paid the study actually end up in the worst shape. Yeah, that's a little history on stress. So, what do you do to solve stress? Mindfulness. This is a practice where you basically focus on breath. Everybody have done yoga before, right? Have done yoga? Okay. So when you do yoga, you do some crazy pose, but at the end, there is always, well, if it's right, if it's the correct kind of yoga, they have you lie down or sit up straight. Let you focus on breathing and only your breathing, nothing else. Because anything else is considered a bad thought according to Buddhism or mindfulness philosophies. By only focusing on the moment, by only focusing on your breath, your body is actually heal itself better, for lack of a better term. And this is no snake oil. Look it up. Mindfulness does have health benefits to people, and it's pretty normal thing to explain because you're relaxed. You focus on breath. You don't think about your tomorrow. Don't think about your, I don't know, bills. Don't think about your rent. Don't think about your deadline this Sunday midnight. So you feel relaxed, and a relaxed body is is a body that has a better chance to heal itself, and a body that heals itself a lot is a healthier body. So that's how mindfulness works, and this practice has been going on for centuries. But until recently, it always comes with either Buddhism or whatever tradition they have in their culture. It comes with the set of ethical codes with it. But in 1979, there was a monk went to MIT and started teaching. Well, I'm not sure he's a monk. He's kind of like a priest. He preached to people. He wants people to, convert to his religion. And this MIT guy, John, listened to what he had to say and said, hey, this meditating or this mindfulness practice is good, but I don't care about your Buddhism stuff. I just want to be relaxed. And he thinks this one works. Then he started a MIT Institute of Stress Relief. Don't quote me on that, but he started something. This is basically a clinic, and he made a lot of money off it. He just got people start doing yoga, start doing relaxation therapy, and it works. It becomes very famous very fast because it works. And that's just the situation. And once people realize there's big money in that, a lot of money attracts money. And they think there's a market in there. A lot of capital start pouring in. People stripped the mindfulness practice out of its religion context and just sell that only one part. And today you can find hundreds of thousands, maybe tens of thousands, I think 40,000 last time I checked, just book alone on Amazon, just about mindfulness, nothing else. Not even yoga, not even relaxation, not even stress, just mindfulness alone, 40,000 books. And then there's countless apps. I think there's one called Calm, I'm not sure you heard about that. If you have an iPhone, it's always going to flow up because they have big money, they spend a lot of money to place their ads. And there's another one, I forgot his name, but it allows Matthew McConaughey actually talk you in bed and start walking you through how to relax your mind. I did a little research on it, but it's pretty fun. Just search mindfulness on our app store. There are a bunch of them, I promise. So all this phenomenon, I convince you guys, there is a phenomenon going on, and this is a big thing. So is it good or bad? In the tradition of Buddhism, well, mindfulness is actually older than Buddhism, but I know Buddhism best. I presume in its older content, it still has some good or evil concept within it. But with Buddhism, there are actually two kinds of mindfulness. One is the good kind, one is the evil kind. I think the way you say it is sutra. Hold on. Good thing we don't have any Indian people here. They're gonna call me out. I have that word here.
Neurasthenia. Samasata.
Yes, samasada.
Samasati.
Samasati. Samasati is the good one, and mikasati is the bad one. And the literal translation of this is good mindfulness and bad mindfulness. According to Buddha, good mindfulness is you think nothing, you only focus on yourself. Not yourself, your inner body's movement, breath, and you can feel your muscle twitching or relaxing. But the bad one is you do this for a reason. Right? So do it just for the sake of relaxation, sure. But if you are doing it because you want to relax some before you assassinate somebody, then that's evil. That sounds crazy, but there is actually a factual thing. There was I forgot his name. Sorry, I'm Chinese, if I haven't told yet. I'm not good with Western names. There was a Nazi officer, SS officer. He actually took his entire team or team of murderers, basically, SS, that's the worst of worst in Nazi ranks, to mindful retreats, just to relax them, so that they don't feel as bad committing genocide. So that's a real thing, that's happening. And that's by no means a samasati, because it's bad. They're relaxing for the sake of trying to calm their uneased conscience, and that's bad. And this is why, after stripped of its ethics, branch or ethics content, mindfulness can be harmful. But then again, what's the famous argument? Guns don't kill people, people kill people, right? Mindfulness don't kill people. Assassins who practice mindfulness kill people. It's a tool, right? It relaxes you, but if you give this tool to anybody just willy-nilly, it might not be a good thing. And that comes McMindfulness. McDonald's doesn't discriminate. As long as you can show some cash, they don't really care about who you are. You can be a murderer, right? You can be, I'm going to kill somebody, but I'm hungry. I'll buy some McDonald's and then eat and kill somebody. That's okay. McDonald's doesn't care. Mindfulness doesn't care either. Not with our current situation here. So that's what the big problem is. We are providing a tool to ease the bad player's conscience. Killing murderer might be an extreme case, but think about executives, just like Bumi did the case on Ireland, right? If Ireland executives can do mindfulness, they can lie even better, right? They might be doing more harm. So this might be a problem, and that's my first argument against McMindfulness. Why we cannot just sell this stuff willy-nilly, not at the scale that we have right now. And then, right. I think I skipped a slide, but you get the point, because I dove pretty deep in the rundown. And the second argument I have with a problem I have with mindfulness is the mass production, kind of like McDonald's catered. Big organizations purchase mindfulness practice or hire consultants for the organizations to help their clients to stay in the moment, meditate every day, this kind of stuff. But what's the reason? First of all, yes, they de-stress their people so that they work better. Remember, organizations don't really care about people. They care about their bottom line. And if making people feel better happens to make them more productive, you're going to be sure they do it. And then there's US Marine. They meditate now. That's just so you why this thing actually works. The army won't really buy anything on big scale if it doesn't work. So on the military side, I don't want to touch on that because I love the troops. That's a thing to say in America. But on private sector, what's the other reason companies want their people to be practicing mindfulness? One side of it is something called cow psychology, and the famous quote from that is, cows that are content and happy produce more milk. That means, employees, if they're happy, they do more work. But on the other side, if you are, doing mindfulness, calm yourself all day, you don't really have time to go to that union meeting. If you only think about yourself all day, you don't really have time to think about how shitty your life is. And if you only think about yourself today, you don't really think about, well, Google has a program actually called Discover Within, or Search Within Yourself. That's their mindfulness program. It's actually for sale. Companies can actually buy that. And there's a reason why it's called Search Within Inside Yourself, not Search Within your company and find its shortcomings. It occupies people's mind and their time, and so that they don't be unhappy about the current situation. That's dangerously lead people to being content with status quo, which we know is not good. With this trajectory, I don't know, according to scientists, I don't know why I'm quoting this, but take it however you want, but there are a lot of people saying the world's gonna end in 50 years if we don't do anything about it. And that was 10 years ago, so yeah, maybe 40 years back. And the last point is mindfulness worldwide. So it's kind of a natural conclusion of what if everybody in the world practice mindfulness, right? So first of all, if we can somehow pull it off, just everybody, every morning they wake up, they practice mindfulness, they only think about themselves. They stop worrying about the world. Will the world really become a more peaceful place? What's going to happen if, Michael did the shell company, right? So what if the oil spills? Will those people still be able to stay in the mindfulness? So that type of mindset, they won't be unhappy.
If you're in mindfulness all the time, you live in artificial reality.
Exactly. It creates a bunch of zombies, and zombies are content. The zombies will never start zombie world war if they kill all humans.
The corporations you're talking about now, so the corporation is giving the employee the mindfulness, and the employee goes to work for the corporation. So the corporation is kind of like their drug dealer. So that's why they stay working for that corporation, not really thinking about themselves, but just staying within the company and working like a little zombie.
It sounds like a prize at first, and then they get you in the hook.
It's kind of like free coffee for all the employees. You feel like it's good, but you work more harder, but your heart rate is over 120 before you know it. So how do we make it right? I don't really have an answer yet. I'll figure this out this weekend. But my train of thought here, that's what happens when you do. Let me finish this and then you can go fight it. So where were I? Yes, I haven't figured this out yet, but my thought on this is you actually combine the philosophies of ethics we learned this semester, or there ever was, to this mindfulness practice. People won't really get any mindfulness benefits until they actually learn what's ethical and what's unethical. And if learning ethics make you stressed, then do some mindfulness. And that's basically how the monks in Buddhism actually does it, because mindfulness is only one of the 8 paths to become a Buddha, and the other 7 paths is all super strict. You cannot drink, you cannot smoke, you cannot curse. I think some of school of thought says you cannot even marry, you cannot have sex. Definitely no eating meat. All that stuff is stressful, and I think mindfulness is their answer. So if you don't go through all that, make you ethical, and just go straight to what makes you feel better, that sounds like an easy way out, but that's a pretty slippery slope, for the lack of a better term, because I don't like that term, slippery slope. But in this case, it's literal, right? So you do something bad, then you have a way to make yourself feel better, feel good about doing something bad. That defeats the whole premises of cognitive dissonance. Is that wrong? Yeah. So when you don't have that, you don't know what's good and what's bad. And after a while, you just become numb. And you fall into the status quo and you keep doing bad things. And that's a scary future that we don't want to live in. And it's about time to ask yourself about this mindfulness crap. Is it really good for our human race? The last one is any question. That means question. I just thought it's cool to put it there. Also, my email address is there.
Super job, super
Before
good.
Steve, I want to say